Jay, myself, Nancy, Angelo. Hello.
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 It's
Thanks
us.
for joining us right after a really big weekend for most of us here. That's not Otafest, but Extra Life.
It was Otafest. It was
Yeah,
Otafest and Extra Life.
It was powered by Otafest people.
I hope you tuned in on Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For those who didn't,
Do it next time.
yeah, there's always next year.
I think we have some highlight spots.
Yeah, we partnered up. I'm sure people have heard that we partnered up with Extra Life for the benefit of the Alberta Children's Hospital Foundation, and we raised about $1,200 US, so that's probably closer to like $1,500-$1,600, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's
Or
pretty big.
more.
I'm really proud of everyone who donated. I'm really proud of anyone who donated their time as well, from either if it was watching, sharing, playing, being support. Like people just brought food for us, or like without really anyone asking, or just like kind of being there, watching the stream, interacting with us on chat. All of it was really cool.
I put a couple lamps on the floor.
You did.
Good job, Angelo.
And actually, it made the camera look much better.
Yeah,
It
it
did.
really did.
It did. Actually, we're using the same setup today.
Yep.
So,
more or less, yeah.
more or less.
Yeah, so again, thanks everyone for coming out. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually a fair amount of work to set it up the way that we do.
As you know.
Unfortunately, it's not just like we'll open up a laptop with OBS and rely on that.
Yeah, sure.
I wish.
We'll fly by the seat of our
there's
pants.
3 computers in this room right now. There's like 6 monitors.
And the TV.
Yeah, and the TV
And lights.
and
And a
various
camera.
laptops and everything. So it's actually a lot of setup as well. So again, thank you for everyone for coming by. Thank you for donating to such a great cause. And we hope to see you next year if you didn't make it this year. Or you know what? It didn't really have to be our stream. I hope that you engaged in some Extra Life activity over the past couple of weeks, because it has been going on for a little bit.
There was 24 hours of it. You have no excuse.
It's true.
It's a spectacle for sure.
It is.
Yeah. Did you have any favorite moments?
Oh, I think everyone had some favorite moments. So I was a player during from midnight to 4 a.m.
Yeah, you took over it after me and David.
Yeah. I didn't have too many highlights on my stream, other than at the very end of it, Vern and Curtis were coming on, and at that time I had like 99 rupees, maximum amount of rupees in my wallet, and we were running low on items. So I just right before Vern was coming on, he was kind of already sort of half on stream, getting ready. And I was like, "Oh, Vern, I think you're gonna need some like extra items. Like you're gonna need some arrows, some bombs, that kind of thing. Just go to a shop and I'll stock up for you." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So I went over into the shop. I was like, "Oh, here's some arrows. Like we're really low on arrows. We only have like maybe 10 or something. I'll buy you arrows."
Get the pointy sticks.
I bought him all the arrows.
You bought all the pointy sticks.
We went up to like, I think it was like 30 or 40 arrows, and spent like almost all the money. There was only like 20 rupees left. And then I was like, "Oh, it'd be a shame if you started with nothing." And I started shooting all the arrows as fast as I could, and then it came down. And he was like, "No, stop!" And then I was like, he's like, "Leave me with some." I'm like, "I'll leave you with 3." Arrows after I shot
Oh my god.
You
and then
ass.
I was like, "Oh look, we still have some bombs."
You
And I started throwing bombs, and he was like, "No, those are hard to get because they weren't like bombs.
They were bomb shoes.
Yeah.
No,
And bomb shoes, you can
you
either
can't.
buy them, but you can't. It's hard to pick them up. Like you can find them sometimes, but not often. So he's like, "No, like I really need those. Like those are hard. Those are gonna be hard to find." So he, out of the goodness of Vern's heart, I did not force him to do so. He bribed me, and he donated $50. So
But it's not really bribing you, because his is the shift that gets the hint.
It's true. But then his hint, I think he had to do a challenge. Actually.
Oh, what was it? Do you remember?
I don't know. We have the challenge cards. It had to do something with like bottles and fishing.
What did you make?
That was the clip that I saw that I just loved at
What was it?
3600 degree no scope bomb chew.
Yeah. That was. I haven't actually seen the clip yet myself, but
It
I've heard
was
really good things.
great.
Yeah.
It was David, right?
Yeah,
Right?
it was. Yeah.
He made a hell of a play.
So he was missing everything. He was down to like his last few bomb chews, and he was like,
"This was in the bomb chew gallery." Like this.
Yes,
was, like,
that's
the
what it
mini
was.
Game, first of all.
And so he's like, screw it. I'm going to just spin around 10 times.
And I'm going to close my eyes.
And fire the bomb shoe.
And then it worked.
He got this one that he'd like missed 10 or 15 times in a row. I don't even know.
Did he was he like straight on, or was he just kind of off?
Straight on.
Oh,
or
okay.
You mean Link was looking straight on, or was he like? He was off to the side.
So like the bomb shoe like went like bing, like kind of left and off and
then
around, kind of.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just like
it wasn't
like
a perfect no. It definitely went.
I need to watch that now.
It was good.
I've made the assumption because like everyone's saying it's like 360.
Like if I remember right, it went up the wall and then came in from the side.
Yeah, it did.
That's sick. All right,
it was
like to watch that.
messy. David basically said something like, "It's fine. I'm just gonna close my eyes," and he just does it while his eyes are closed, and then he nails it.
So
and I was just like,
angry.
Yeah, Bayfar was just like, I can't.
Bayfar was just there the whole time. He was like, "Oh, I have the secret. I know how to do it with 2 bomb shoes." Yeah. And David was like, "I don't care."
and then he just closes his eyes and does it anyway.
Okay.
Oh,
and it was
yes, actually, that was the highlight of the stream for me.
That's pretty good. Did you have one?
I thoroughly enjoyed a bunch of things about that stream where it became very clear that we are all just a bunch of giant meme lords. Like, I'm not even kidding. Bayfar says, wouldn't it'd be so funny if we just like kept a whole bunch of, trivial statistics about the way this game plays out, and like the stream kept a concussion counter, a broken ankle counter, and a death count for us.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it was amazing because the entire community was like, you know what? It would be really funny to find out how many times you guys concuss or fall and break your ankles and actually take damage. And I think at the end of it, everyone sort of decided that if you hit like 50 or 100 of those on any counter, you'd have to do a punishment. And
nice.
I can't remember which punishment it was. Oh, don't use your sword. And don't use your sword, and don't use Z targeting for, I want to say 10 or 15 minutes.
Z targeting is garbage anyways. I hate it. Like it's just
it's so hard to play without it though.
Here's the thing, like the problem is that it's technically a good system. Almost any it pioneered that kind
early
of
3D games. They didn't know how to use the camera yet.
Yeah.
So it was a necessity.
Yeah, like it's not.
It really was.
It's one of those things where it's not bad for its time, but I've played so many action adventure RPG style games in that time where the targeting is much more efficient.
Yeah, but there were so many times where like you just look up at the screen and you would see like Link hidden by a chunk of fence, or like Link hidden by a random killer, or like
I think
Link
it was
and
Vernon Curtis who were fighting Phantom Ganondorf, and almost always one of the fences of the arena was in the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
That.
Couldn't see.
Yeah.
Just couldn't see it.
And it's tough, and like camera angles are like something that plagues game development. Like they always have. Like you'll hear it from your fans or whoever buys the game, if your camera angles are off.
Yeah.
Whether it's too high, too low, or gets blocked by stuff, or you just can't turn it around fast enough.
Yeah, but that game specifically is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, anytime you're in an enclosed area.
So
a lot of the cameras for the Nintendo 64 games were absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going back to an older control scheme, and again, older tech.
It was
makes
the
it more
first
difficult as a
console
player.
with real 3D like that, right?
Yeah.
Like it was that in the PlayStation 1, and Dreamcast was later on, right? Was there a Sega one around that time that had 3D? By the time they'd gotten to the PS2, the GameCube, and everything, they'd kind of figured out a lot of that stuff out. But for the N64, the PlayStation 1, they mostly didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. But I mean,
it was new territory.
Even with, it's not exactly the same, but I mean, I just bought like Red Dead Redemption 2 for PC, and people talked about like when it's on console and you're playing with a controller, the controllers are less responsive and the camera's less responsive. Like it has this kind of like slow turn, kind of like this heavy movement kind of style of control. And people are like, it's okay, like it's workable, but it's not ideal. Whereas like if you play mouse and keyboard, you can actually just whip around much more like an FPS, and people are much happier with that. So it's part of it's like people's expectations, I guess, but it's also like even now people like AAA game from Rockstar, and controls and camera controls are still like a big, it's always going to be a big point of contention, because if you can't see, you're not going to be able to play very well.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're speedrunning blindfolded.
Or you're trying to play the bomb shoe gallery with your eyes closed.
Yeah, that too.
Apparently that's easy.
Yes.
Apparently.
Apparently.
No problem. First try.
First try.
First
it was
try.
the first
It was
try when
first
he
try.
did that.
Yeah, but then he tried to recreate it and it didn't.
Oh yeah,
quite
it never
work.
happened again.
No.
you can't. We can't
But
do
he-
that.
he
You tried to
fluked it.
capture lightning in a bottle. You can't do that. You do it once. It happens. But you cannot just be like, oh, I did it once.
I'll just do it again. Yeah.
If he did do it again, you know what you should have done is just you leave him on stream. Like you literally, he has to be the one to complete the rest of it because no one else is going to be able to top that.
I have
about-
strong feelings about things that don't matter.
Apparently, I have strong feelings about chopsticks. I was at Pho the other night, and the table next to me, there was it was just like a group of guys, but they were like probably 17, and one of them was drumming with their chopsticks, and I was like immediately angry.
Yeah, but
And I
that's
was
the
like-
same thing as like if they did that with
Regular
knife and-
utensils,
like
yeah.
knife and forks or
Other
anything like that.
utensils?
Like, it's just why are you doing that? This isn't
Just
a great
don't.
instrument for food delivery. You are disrespecting it.
Yes.
I do not appreciate it.
If they were wooden
Yeah.
chopsticks, I understand. If they were metal chopsticks, they can die.
Speaking of metal chopsticks,
I hate them.
Why?
I don't mind them.
Why?
But
The-
I've only
they
because-
feel
only because
wrong
I've
in my
grown-
mouth.
I've grown to not hate them. Oh, in your mouth?
Wait, what?
What are you doing?
Hold
Are
on.
you deep throating the food as it goes in?
Oh my goodness!
like it just goes here,
Wooden
dude.
chopsticks, they're much lighter.
Uh-huh.
I feel like because they have that texture, it's easier to grip things with them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm an absolute chopstick noob. I
How
need
are
that
you a
grippiness.
weeb?
I'm bad at it, dude.
Well, stop being
I'm
bad,
bad
at
at
being a weeb.
And like metal chopsticks, they're heavier. They're a lot thinner. They feel slipperier.
So like,
And like when I'm putting this stuff in my mouth, it's like it just.
So
Are
It's
you
uncomfortable.
wait? Are you the sort of person who doesn't like touching like metal utensils to your teeth?
Yes, I hate that.
Okay, so that explains part of it.
that could be part of it. But like, so there's different kinds of chopsticks. Like,
There
if
are
people
many
weren't, like,
kinds.
But like, I remember when I went over to the first time I ever went to like, one of my Korean friends' houses. Like, I'd never really had Korean food or friends up to like that kind of point, and then I went over, and his mom was like being super nice, and was like, "You want anything to eat?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, like sure, whatever, right?" Like, don't turn them down.
Asian
kind of
mom.
thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Oh, we'll make you something nice," and like it was like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but all of it was tasty, right? But like she puts out like the food, and then there's like the bowls of rice or whatever, and then there's like the chopsticks. And I was like, "What are these chopsticks?" 'Cause, like, Korean chopsticks are like
They're very
metal.
thin.
They're metal and they're like this thin.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They're like flat and thin. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not rounded.
They're
They're
flat.
not squared.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They're flat and thin, and I
Yeah.
was like, I'm like, I have to leave.
Oh no.
But like,
I need to go home now.
yeah, I have to go home and get some real chopsticks and bring them back. Like,
Oh,
I think
no.
Koreans are the only one with that kind of chopsticks.
I think so.
But I actually I own a pair now, and I use them more than almost any of my other chopsticks. Not because I specifically like the shape, but I do like that they're metal, and I don't have that issue. But I do like that they're metal because there's heft to it, right? In the same way that I don't want to use a plastic
fork or
right?
knife.
I would
Yeah.
like to use like something sturdier as a
Okay, so for me,
The only
personally,
reason I don't use a plastic fork or a knife is because they're flimsy and garbage.
and they're bad for the environment.
That too.
Yeah. Okay, so I've now discovered a thing about Angelo. If you had a personal hell that was designed specifically for you, it would include that feeling of chomping down on a fork full of food, but with your teeth.
Oh god, I hate it.
Yeah,
Like,
yep.
Oh, you mean
Yep.
like
Like
that
the
little
feeling of
tingy
the
iron flavor too, or anything like that? Or
Not
is it
even
just
the
like
flavor.
or is it
It's just the
that-
feeling.
it's the feeling
I-
of having like the
something
hard metal
metal
between your teeth. Like if you
touching
bite
your teeth.
too hard down on it,
I-
and you didn't expect it, and it's just
if
like
I bite on
it's like the
it,
feeling of dread. Is like, am I
Yeah.
gonna chip a tooth? And it's like,
biting on it, I can understand. But if I just leave it, like if I have a spoon in my mouth and I just kind of left it there after, like maybe I'm like playing games.
well,
or
that's no
something
big
like
deal
that,
because
I don't
I'm
mind
not
that.
biting it. If it's just in my
I kinda
mouth,
get it.
Do metal utensils have a flavor for you?
Yes,
Do they taste metally?
a little.
Okay.
But I'm not trying. Like at the same time, it's not like I'm trying to leave them in my mouth all the time.
No, but like when you do.
It's really a spoon. It's really spoons that ever happen. Because like maybe I'm playing a game or something, and I just kind of like.
Yeah, I would never do that with a fork.
And then you kind of leave it in your mouth for a second, then you take it out.
I would never do that with a fork. I have done it once,
But yeah, like it's just
but
you can
never
taste it.
again.
I don't hate the taste though, like the iron-ish taste. I understand what you mean. There's like that weird. It's almost like because like you have nerves in your teeth, and it's almost like it reverberates somehow. Like
It
Yeah,
does.
I don't like that feeling
in your
either.
teeth.
Yeah.
When was the last time you bit your own tongue?
Ooh,
like a
not
week
that
ago?
long ago.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah, it's probably been about at least a few months for me.
It's
But
happened.
before
It's happened.
that, it was like a few years that I didn't, and then I did it, and I was like, why is this happening? Why is this a thing?
Whose idea was it to put that there? That's where my teeth were going.
It's like human defect number 4 or something. Because
Yeah,
number 1 is the one that you can
1,000?
yeah, but like the first one for me is the fact that the food and air go down the same hole.
They don't go down the same hole.
No, but
You're doing it wrong.
no, they do. They do
don't.
until they diverge. You're
They go through the same.
If they didn't-
I'll give it to you that they go through the same opening, but it's not the same hole.
fine. Whatever word vocabulary you want to use.
Same hole
But
problems are the worst.
choking is still a thing.
Same hole problems are bad problems.
But seriously, like choking is a thing because you can't breathe if you have food going down the road. Like it's such a bad design from so many standpoints.
Well,
Evolutionarily, this shouldn't be happening to us anymore.
It goes the other way too, where if you swallow too quickly and then air goes down like your esophagus instead of your trachea, then you're gonna burp.
Yep.
You're gonna have gas. Right?
Yep.
Anyways.
As we digress very far from our conversation points.
I don't know what we were talking about, but Promare is running again at Eau Claire.
How? Again? So
you
second
get a
showing?
chance to watch, right?
I have not seen it yet,
I haven't either.
and neither did Dio.
I was
and
told the first day was like a total, not a gong
It's
show,
December,
but like,
right?
December 8th, I believe, at Eau Claire.
oh, at Eau
I'm
Claire.
not sure if it's filled up yet, because when I ordered tickets a couple days ago,
I was told
there was like 10 seats left.
I was told the Globe Theater had trouble just like seating all that many people.
Damn.
Yeah, I also I'm not 100% certain, but I think it's like Promare Deluxe or some other kind of. It's like maybe an extended version or
Something like that.
I could be wrong because I didn't buy tickets. Not like I looked at any of that information.
Well,
I don't care.
time
I
to go
just
buy
want to
some.
see it. It looks
I also
great.
want to see it, but I'm willing to wait. Just because I'm that kind of person, I just suck at watching movies all the time. I hate.
That's fair.
I don't usually.
But I like to see anime in theaters because it's just such a different experience.
It's a different experience.
Yeah,
I
but
got
you
to
gotta
watch.
sit around with like 300 other sweaty ass people.
Well, I watched Your Name at Eau Claire,
Uh,
and it was gorgeous.
what
Is
was
Eau
it? The
Claire still
third
crap?
Madoka movie.
I mean,
Me
it's
and
still
Dio
an
went to
old
see it.
theater.
And so like there were the promo signature boards that they gave out,
Oh yeah.
and me and Dio just happened to get the same one for Homura, and suddenly this whole line, people opening theirs and being like, it turned into like mass trading
Oh yeah.
of different signature boards.
Oh, I don't know what a signature board is, but
It's just like a little board like this. It has a drawing of the character and then a signature of the seiyuu.
I think
of
I
the
mentioned
voice
this
actor.
before
Cool.
on a prior podcast, but when Detective Pikachu came out, and I don't know if you ever went to like the original Pokemon movies, but they would give out cards, and then at Detective Pikachu they also gave out trading cards.
I've still got my ancient Mew
I still have
and my Entei in the plastic.
Wow.
Disgusting.
That's probably worth a lot of money. You realize?
No, it's
No,
not. I looked it
probably
up.
not.
Oh.
A lot of people have them.
Damn.
But
Damn it.
But did you guys get a Detective Pikachu card?
No.
I didn't.
No, I
Did
didn't.
you guys go?
I did go.
I didn't
Did
know how
I?
limited. I don't know how limited that.
I did,
the
but it
card
was a
was.
couple a week or two after it
Okay.
launched. So it was like,
Oh.
yeah.
But I got like a Detective Pikachu card, which is like, I mean, I don't play the TCGs or anything, but it was just really nice. Like, so
I still have all my
nostalgic to
Pokemon cards.
to
card.
get the card.
A
it
physical
was a
card.
little mini booster pack. I think there was 2 or 3 cards in it. I don't remember, but one of them was definitely like a Pikachu, and then I got a Bulbasaur, which was like super good because Bulbasaur was really cute in the movie, and Bulbasaur was my first starter, so it's just like,
Aww.
Bulbasaur is a good boy.
Bubbasaur.
Bulba.
Bubba.
was the boy.
Bubbasaur. Whoop.
I have not seen, because Detective Pikachu is not an anime movie.
No.
It's pretty easy to make that clear.
Yeah,
It's a video game movie.
it's
you
a
can
video
call it
game
that,
movie,
But I don't think you can
but
call
it
an
was
anime.
very much mainstream.
I can't remember the last like anime movie I went to that wasn't a Pokemon one, and that's I know there's been a lot of Pokemon movies. I mean like the second or third Pokemon movie. I haven't seen a Pokemon movie in
The
theaters in a
third
long time.
Pokemon movie was the last one I saw in theaters.
Sort of on a sadder note, when I was in Japan, and KyoAni had burned down, and we actually visited KyoAni's building. There wasn't anything, not anything left, but they had stopped putting like memorial stuff there. They were just
Okay.
because it's actually the building is located in a residential area.
Oh.
So
I didn't know
it's
that.
so disturbing to think that if the fire had spread 15 feet, people's houses would have burned down. Like that's really
Oh.
annoying. Like I don't know if annoying is the right
Annoying.
word, but like,
That's not the right word.
I think
No, but,
aggravating
yeah,
for you.
aggravating. Like,
That's
it's just not. It's
stressful.
Yeah, that is stressful.
I don't know if it's stressful, but yeah, like, aggravating is probably a better word. But anyways, like at the time, I can't remember the name of the movie, but they were just about to put out another movie. Kyoani.
Was that the Violet Evergarden movie?
Yes,
Yeah,
Violet
it
Evergarden.
was.
So a lot of people like definitely saw the hell of it in Japan. I had the opportunity to see it, but obviously wouldn't have been subtitles, and I would have just been sitting there, been like,
I don't know what's happening.
I would have actually gone because when I watched Violet Evergarden, the story was okay.
You're like, I don't.
This is
Yeah,
okay.
but this is you saying.
But this is KyoAni
Right?
we're talking about, and the animation was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
I'm
you're still saying like the story part is like in retrospect. Now you know what the story is. Going in there is still like this is.
No, I haven't seen the movie.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's not out, and it hasn't been put on
Oh.
Blu-rays or anything. It's not released online at all.
Oh,
It's my understanding.
I
But yeah.
thought they were putting it on Netflix. Are they not?
it might be.
The anime's on Netflix. I don't know
Yeah.
about the movie. I don't think so.
All yeah, like I
I haven't really looked for it.
I'm in the. It was a weird thing where it's like I felt like I had an opportunity to go see it, and it would have been sort of nice. But at the same time, I still would have liked to know what would be happening, and I know that wasn't going to happen. So again, I would have been sitting.
Just
there
use Google Translate.
Yeah, just have my screen on the whole time. And, you know, like, it wouldn't like you couldn't just be like this, right? It would have to be like up here capturing the movie, and I should definitely make sure I'm sitting not in the front row so that everyone can see me, but you know, there's always like that sort of middle top-ish prime area for seating. I would sit right below that, like 2 seats below that, to be the worst person.
Wow.
Oh my
To
God.
really ruin the experience for the people who want
Honestly,
like, really good seats.
Wow.
I think that would probably be one of the worst things you could do in a movie theater.
Yep.
Other than yelling
Probably.
fire, but they wouldn't have understood me because I'm yelling it in English.
Oh boy. I'm just imagining what would happen.
They'd very politely tell me to leave.
Probably.
And then you just be like, Nihongo wa karimasen.
Yeah. Foreigner desu.
That's that good old Gaijin superpower.
Except the problem is I don't immediately look like a foreigner. I think that you can.
Yeah,
sort
they
of
might
tell
think
that
you're
I'm not.
bullshitting them.
Yeah, that could be that too. It's like, are you making fun of my culture while being one of? What is happening? That's like the Japanese equivalent of like a glitch in the matrix.
What
Yeah,
is
really.
happening here?
Yeah, like some like extreme version of counterculture.
Hooray.
Some other stuff that kind of came out recently that I wanted to talk about. Blizzard released some news on sort of what their gaming plans are in the next couple of years, I think.
Yep.
I don't know the exact release dates for anything.
I
right now.
don't really even
I don't
know
think
if
they've given us
anything's-
release dates.
No?
They probably gave us wishy-washy
I
seasonal.
think, so Diablo 4 had...
deadlines.
I watched the Diablo 4 trailer, so I'm a huge fan of Diablo.
Yep.
Not so much of 3, but I'm still a fan of the franchise overall.
I still enjoyed 3. It was nice just to play, like, if you wanted to have something that
was in
wasn't
that vein.
stressful.
Yeah, it's still a Diablo game. It's just not my favorite Diablo game, I guess. But with 4 and like the Lilith trailer as that's the enemy is Lilith. Have you ever played Angela? Because I know
I
Angela,
think
know
I may
Angela.
have once played an
Which one?
Which
expansion
one?
for Diablo called Hellfire.
Oh, that's like original Diablo. That's
Way back.
Hellfire's.
That's old.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
Diablo
was
1's.
old as hell, and that's the only Diablo-related title I would have ever played.
Whew.
If you like that kind of game, it's super fun. But Diablo 3 had some changes to it anyway. Like,
Auction house.
they always the big way that they like to announce what their next game is going to be in the series is like they reveal who the big bad is, and this one is Lilith. Like Lilith,
Mother of monsters.
yeah. Like the lore is that Lilith was like Adam's first wife or something.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that,
Well,
or Eve.
His first
It gets
wife.
a lot older than that, but
I don't know.
I didn't
Do
pay
tell.
attention to that YouTube video.
Oh.
I just stumbled across a YouTube video about the origins of Lilith,
Oh?
and depending on, like, if you go by the Christian version or whatever, it's that it was Adam's first wife, but something, God kicked her out of the Garden of Eden first, and then Eve came along, but that was never in the Bible.
Yep.
But apparently, the origins of Lilith go back way further than any Judeo-Christian stuff.
Oh?
And
She's
there's
the
even
oldest
like
badass lady.
there's roots even in the Babylonian
Yeah.
civilizations.
Oh, that's like Mesopotamia and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty
Huh.
crazy.
Now
All
I'm
I
gonna
know
have
is
to get
that
that.
in the trailer, I really like the way that she's done. Like,
Oh yeah,
she's
she
got, like,
looked
this.
like the horns and the.
Yeah, she's very graceful, and she's not like she's not too
She's not too deep.
sexualized
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like because she has like very like.
She's a female, and you can tell she's a female,
Yeah,
but
and
they didn't make her like.
she has like demonic supernaturalness to her, but not specifically like overgrown. Like she has some horns, but she's not like super spiky or like I've got like a snake tongue or anything like that. But she has got this cool like flesh veil thing going on.
Yeah, the blood veil thing was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a well done trailer. You should watch it.
Okay.
You want to find a
Yeah,
photo?
you
I want to see a picture.
It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm optimistic.
I'm
about
cautiously optimistic. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that they don't repeat some mistakes that they've made in the past.
Honestly, all I really wanted, and I've said this before, is like Diablo 2 remake.
A Diablo 2 remake.
I would love Diablo 2 was the
What
best.
was your
It had
favorite thing about 2?
The skill system. It
Oh.
had the absolute best skill system. You could build your unlike Diablo 3, you can't build your character in Diablo 3. You kind of have all these presets kind of thing. Whereas in Diablo 2, you build your skill tree. You can decide how many points you want to put in it. There's synergies that play into it. Your stat build, like whether you're in agility or strength or dexterity or whatever, that all plays into it. No, not exactly. That's
Okay.
not it. Like it's specifically in the trailer.
Okay, I'll have to actually watch the
Yeah,
trailer sometime.
like that might be concept art, and I don't know how related that is to their final product, but the trailer you assume is fairly final product-ish. So look it up. But yeah, like being able to build your character in an RPG means a lot to me, because if you can't kind of like, if in Diablo 2, if you wanted to be a battle sorceress, like you wanted to wield like a sword and shield as opposed to just like a staff, you could do that. In Diablo 3, you basically have to play a sorceress is supposed to play.
Yeah.
And that kind
That's
of makes
boring.
me a little sad. Yeah, like everyone can do that, right? So it's just little things like that, and I would love to see that in D4, but I can understand if they're moving away from that. It's just like a lot of other my favorite franchises always evolve, and sometimes I don't feel like it is for the better necessarily, but
Well, what other franchises have moved away from like
Warcraft.
a peak point of Warcraft?
Warcraft turned
is definitely
from like a
Warcraft.
strategy game to a card game.
Well, that's Hearthstone. I mean, I was thinking about WoW,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it went from a strategy game to like your MMO, and then eventually a card game.
Hearthstone.
Yeah.
You think Hearthstone is Hearthstone that heavily WoW?
To my understanding,
Oh,
I don't really play them, but it's just it's a
World of
card
War-
game taking World of
Yeah.
Warcraft elements.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And then there was what is it, like Heroes of the Storm?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I don't know what happened to that.
they killed it.
Oh,
It's dead.
it just
Oh.
wasn't popular enough versus like Dota.
I don't know what actually happened, but like they just had a tournament, and
Oh, that
it felt like they were pushing it so hard. And then like 2 weeks later, it's like, yeah, we're end of lifing Heroes of the Storm.
Oh.
Like, I don't know if it's just that between League of Legends and Dota 2, it couldn't get any market share, or if it wasn't profitable enough for them to even bother with. I don't know.
Maybe.
It was weird.
But like, are they pulling it so you can't play it anymore, or?
I don't know if it's in the Blizzard launcher still.
Huh. Wow, that's too bad.
Maybe it just wasn't making enough money versus how many people had to work on it as a team, and maybe they're trying to you always have to reassign people from teams if you're developing new stuff. Like Overwatch 2,
But yeah,
for
to my
example,
understanding, Heroes of the Storm is effectively dead.
Yeah. What do you know about Overwatch 2?
So
I haven't
Overwatch
seen
2.
I watched the
haven't seen the
announcement
trailer.
trailer.
I
I
haven't seen the
watched it.
I watched the announcement trailer. I tried to keep up with a few things. The biggest question that everyone had is like, what the hell is Blizzard actually doing with this? Is it a new game? Do I have to buy it?
So-
Do I have to do this and that? To my understanding, it's effectively a patch with content that is exclusive to the with single player content that is exclusive to buying the patch,
Do
the
you
DLC.
have to have Overwatch to
I don't
play
think
Overwatch
so.
2? Like, here's the question:
Like,
is it is it a standalone versus like standalone plus?
I don't think we have the answers for that, but what they have said is that everyone who has Overwatch 1 is going to have access to the Overwatch 2 maps, characters, I think skins. Basically, they're not leaving you behind, and you're going to be able to play with people with Overwatch 2. And it might even be the same app. Like, maybe Overwatch 1 will cease to exist and everyone will be playing Overwatch 2. But then there's, like, the single player or the co-op PvE missions that I think, again, I don't think we have real confirmation about this. I think that is, you have to buy Overwatch 2 to get that.
So we've talked about this, I think, maybe outside of podcast, but I feel like I don't understand necessarily what angle they're going for, number one. And number two is like, is it too soon? Isn't it too soon to like end of life Overwatch? Because like, you look at, like, if you want to talk about the world of competitive FPSs, right? You've got Overwatch, it's a big one. We all get it, big esport. You also have like Counter-Strike. And Counter-Strike's only ever gone through like 3 major iterations: Counter-Strike, Source, and Global Offensive now.
Yeah.
And
every time Counter-Strike has changed, it's just to bring it up to a new engine.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
Right, and it's also done extremely well. It has a fairly stable economy, I believe, and it just has a long history of being played. And I sometimes go back into it just because sort of a nostalgia. But I mean, like, it's nice. It's like, it's simple. Most things are just fairly balanced. Tactics are.
Was it 2015 or 2016 that Overwatch first came out? I want to say 2016.
2016. That sounds more.
But
solid.
Could be. Yeah.
What Jeff Kaplan said in the Overwatch 2 panel afterwards was they don't have a set release date for Overwatch 2. He even said that they're going to be talking about Overwatch 2 at the next BlizzCon. So we're probably not getting it for another year at least.
Wow.
Sure,
and he even alluded that they might be talking about it at the next BlizzCon. Really? The Overwatch 2 announcement was to divert attention from other things.
From Winnie the Pooh?
Yes.
Possibly.
NBA?
Yeah. Well, the NBA have nothing to do with Overwatch or Blizzard.
But they were both caught up in the same thing in days of each other.
Having that said, like, if I'm still interested in Overwatch by the time it comes out, I actually am cautiously optimistic about Overwatch 2. Because what it looks like it adds, it looks like it adds new content for Left 4 Dead.
What?
I mean, that'd be great.
What? Oh, whoa.
Oh,
okay.
If Left 4 Dead had new content.
Yeah.
What?
Or if Valve could count to 3.
Yeah, if Valve could count to 3, it's
I understand
that 4-person co-op against unlimited hordes of AI in different ways. Like, the only way that Blizzard could fuck it up is if all of the missions can be completed by formula.
Here's the thing that I'm going to speculate about how Overwatch 2 is going to be handled in terms of like releasing, and I could be wrong. Like I said, I didn't even watch the announcement trailer, but you can say something like, we're going to be talking about Overwatch 2 at the next BlizzCon, because if they release it in an episodic manner, that's how they can draw it out that way. For the record, I generally hate episodic content.
I hate it. I don't mind updates, but give me a full game.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like, just.
Where's episode 3, Valve?
Where is it?
Wasn't episodic content?
Where is it?
Wasn't episodic content for faster releases? Where is it, Valve?
Where is it?
Eps 1 and 2 are pretty fast. Where's Ep 3?
Yeah. When Half-Life was
I'm not interested anymore.
I was sad.
It's not going to live up to the hype.
No.
I don't even think there's hype anymore.
There's a lot of ways that they can drop the ball in it, though. And Blizzard is just... Here's the thing. Even if they're trying to draw away attention from like negative PR stuff...
From other things.
Right? If they don't deliver well on these projects that they want to talk about and say that they're going to try and deliver, they're going to... like, it just makes you fall on your face even harder, is what it is. Right?
The
especially if you're
amount
not ready,
of information we didn't get made it feel very Diablo Immortal to me.
Yeah, or like another good one is like maybe StarCraft Ghosts.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's the same sort of like distractions don't really work in a day and age where information is immediate, number one, and number two, you have competition that does what they
So
do
much
better.
competition.
Like I've said this a few times.
What other
where,
competitive shooter is competing with Overwatch?
other than like
Counter-Strike.
Like Counter-Strike, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
well, there's okay.
But
No,
there's nothing else quite like Overwatch
No.
in the market right now.
Okay, not quite like. Well, no, there's. If you don't want to talk about specific, like, if you're talking about team comp sort of based shooters, you still have something like Apex, for example.
Apex is a battle royale, though.
It is a battle royale, but it's still an FPS.
Well, yes. I was going to say arguable.
No, it's not.
It's not arguable.
Like,
it's an
not,
FPS.
It's not.
It's
like,
first
it's not
person, and
it
it is a shooter.
Yeah, it's not the same exact style as like Overwatch or like a
Team
Fortress
fights.
or kind of that style of game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're working as part of any kind of team and there's some kind of team comp, your competition, and if your competition is just like more consistent than you are and also delivers better product, like arguably better product, you can. It's hard because like Blizzard does have a lot at their fingertips resource wise, but they don't have to have the negative PR aspect, and they don't have to worry about all the other stuff that Blizzard kind of gets hammered on, and they just kind of continue making their product solid. Then they don't like again. You have these, and there's always going to be more players to the game, right? Like there's going to be more competitors eventually. If it's not Destiny, for example, or if it's not,
honestly,
even like
it almost seems like Overwatch's biggest competitor right now is League of Legends. A completely different genre of game.
Well, that's the esports brand.
Yeah,
that's
it's the whole
competition.
Yeah, it's
and
really.
As far as like shooters go, of course, there's other shooters. A new Call of Duty just came out. Yeah. A new there's always Counter-Strike.
Mm-hmm.
There's battle royales like Apex and Fortnite.
Gunbound 2.
Oh, Gunbound 2 is coming out.
Red Dead Redemption 2 just came out. If you can get it to start.
Oof.
On PC, I should say, it just came out. If you can get it to start.
What do you get it to start? I haven't had any problems.
It has been notorious for issues.
In what way?
A lot of people, especially on AMD platforms, just can't get it to start. There was a stream from Jay's 2 Cents. He literally could not get it to run on an AMD platform, just at all. It couldn't launch.
Really? I have a Ryzen 1700X, I think, or maybe does the 1800X exist?
Yes.
Or is it only an 1800?
I think it's 1700, 1700X, and then 1800X. That's what I want to say.
I can't remember if I have a 1700X or an 1800X, but yeah, I have one of those, and it works just fine. I haven't had any issues. I haven't even had a crash yet.
Maybe because it's a little bit older, and a lot of the people are going to be testing for 3rd gen Ryzen.
That's probably true too. I mean, like my chip is technically
because a lot of people are saying, yeah, you have to do a BIOS update to get the newest Giza versions, and that will make it work sometimes.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Everyone's speculating. When they're trying to fix something, everyone's speculating until
exactly.
Works, so.
But yeah, it was probably one of the worst PC game launches of the year.
Really, I seriously didn't have any problems, but I also haven't been looking up anything. I haven't gone online yet because I'm just trying to experience that cowboy story.
Fair enough.
It's been fun though. Like I just got a new horse. No one cares.
Riding on a horse.
But I got a new horse.
Duking with your
riding
Porsche.
in on that horse.
Yeah, I wanted some poker games.
Nice.
It's just mostly like it's presented as being like kind of like serious Western sort of game, but I'm still just doing goofy things like I'll go hunt an animal, but sometimes I'll just go find a lasso guy. And
the more serious something is, the more fun it is, the more it incentivizes being a total goofball.
Right? Like doing something out of universe kind of, because you're just like, I'm Arthur Morgan and I can do whatever the hell I want because I'm Arthur Morgan.
I'm Arthur Morgan.
Yeah. Presented to you by Arthur Morgan.
Anyway. Featuring
written and directed
Morgan.
by Arthur Morgan.
Whoops, forgot to turn off.
Oops.
Vibrate. That's okay. Is there anything else we'd like to cover for now, or
have either of you kept up with the Death Stranding reviews?
I have not. I need to watch a little bit. I haven't watched any.
Only a little bit.
Has
The
it
way
crashed?
that the way it's been best described to me that I found is that it is like a walking simulator for accountants.
To me,
What do you mean for accountants? Like, do
There's-
accountants walk
some
differently?
people have said that it's like a AAA walking simulator. From what I have looked at it, it's more like AAA QWOP.
Yeah, it's kind of like AAA co-op.
So it's
That's
like
a good way.
The
complicated.
game
It's complicated.
walking.
You're a delivery boy.
The game is walking. That is the core gameplay loop. You have to like figure out your balance, and you have to not fall over and lose all your stuff, and
Yeah.
You're
He's
not
not.
serious.
No.
that is the gameplay loop.
I haven't seen any gameplay yet.
Like
so.
combat is there, I guess, but it is not the main focus.
So is
The
this
main
another-
focus is walking.
Is it like a simulation sort almost game to a certain extent? Like, because it gets when you get complicated, when there's like not microtransactions, but micro actions.
You're micromanaging your inventory a lot. Like
Yes.
from what it looks like, this inventory system is so complicated. It is something that will make
Is it
accountants
bad
really
game
happy.
design, or do you?
I
think
don't know.
It was,
I don't know. Like I honestly,
or do
I
you
need
I
to
think
play
there's
it
a
myself.
is it
reason-
like a game for pedants?
I think there's a reason that Kojima couldn't tell people what the game was until it came out.
There is
And that's
that
because
also.
the game portion of it
Mhm.
never would have gotten funded, even if it is an enjoyable experience.
That's crazy.
Excuse
Whoa,
me.
I see.
Whoa. No. What was I gonna say?
Death Stranding.
So the other thing I also wanted to mention that
Yeah.
was kind of interesting about Death Stranding's current spate of reviews is that for people who were reviewing the game, you were not allowed to publish a review if you hadn't finished it. So you had to finish all, whatever, like 40 to 50 to
Sure.
60 hours of gameplay, and then you were allowed to review it. You were not allowed to use more than 20 minutes of your own video gameplay footage.
Mhm.
And what else was there? You weren't allowed to review, and you weren't allowed to like mention anything that could break the story. So basically, you're
Wow.
not allowed to spoil anything. You're not allowed to use more than 20 minutes of footage, and you had to play the entire game all the way to the end before you were allowed to publish. And
I mean, that just speaks to a really like.
That's fair.
That's a very no, but is it like a very? It's like a very power controlling sort of environment to be like it's almost like a
With
propaganda.
Kojima
machine.
games, story is everything.
yeah,
Even
but
if the story sucks, story is
But-
everything.
well, I mean, most reviewers aren't gonna just tell you everything that happens in the game anyway.
Yeah, they know what their
But
job is.
yeah, they know what their job is, but it's just it was literally called a review embargo by everyone who had to review it. It was
Yeah.
called a review, like an
Yeah.
embargo. That is such an extreme term for this.
That's normal
It's not
industry lingo for reviews.
I know, but still.
Like,
I don't know.
I don't-
just.
go with video game reviews much, but I get a lot of hardware reviews.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, on this specific date, you're allowed to show an unboxing, but you're not allowed to talk specs at all.
Oh yes.
By this specific date, you can start talking about specs, but no benchmarks, please.
What?
By this specific date, you're finally allowed to talk benchmarks,
I would.
but
benchmark
that's
the
like
heck
the
out of
day that it
something.
launches.
I would
And
benchmark.
And
the
a lot
shit
of
out
tech
everything.
YouTubers hate it.
Yeah, I would too.
Gamers Nexus, they just refuse to do unboxings.
Yeah.
If they can't tell you anything about it, they just don't tell you anything about it. They don't pretend it doesn't exist.
I don't know. It's also weird to me. Because
Linus
like,
Tech
if you're
Tips, they've
if
gotten
you're-
out of a lot of the smaller
it speaks
stuff.
to me like
Mhm.
somehow they're not confident about their product.
there's two things about it. In the case of like hardware, they stagger it that way so that the video of the product exists on multiple days and the mind share of it
Mhm.
is there longer. They
Mhm.
want more advertising for it over a longer period of time.
Mhm.
And that's why they say you can do this, this, and this. But yeah, I don't think it's a good plan. In the case of video games, to do that, because the story can color your experience of the game,
Mhm.
on one hand, it's fair. On the other hand, expecting a reviewer to play 50 or 60 hours before they write an article,
It's
isn't.
a lot. That's a lot to
it isn't
expect.
fair.
That part is kind of what I take issue
And
with.
especially if you think that the core gameplay loop of walking and balancing yourself isn't going to sell an $80 Canadian game, then you might be like, yeah, play the story so that you actually like it.
It's like you could say that about any game. That's the thing. At the end of the day, like they're not here to create a soundbite for you. They're here to create the entire story. So you could say that like if any reviewer played the first hour of X game, didn't like it, and then slammed it, and then they played the whole game, they're like, oh.
I mean,
it makes
a lot more sense
like,
to
tough.
do like a minimum. Say like, please play like the first 15 hours or something.
It's the minimum 40 hours.
I don't think it should be.
But at the end of the day, I think that it just comes down to, are you confident about how well your product sells? Because like a microcosm should be, in my opinion, like it should be so well made that a microcosm should still represent the product as a whole. Mm-hmm. Regardless of any
you should be able to just take a vertical slice of the game, play it, and be able to say, is this good or is this bad?
Yeah, or like, do I like this game? Will I keep on playing? Like you could say that about
if you need to play,
you watch the first 2 or 3 episodes and you're like, I like this is good. This is bad. You already know this.
Do you remember the days where you'd get a PS2 game and then it came with like a disc for
a
demo disc for another game? And
I don't think I ever saw PS2 demo discs,
really?
But PS1 demo discs, absolutely.
PS1
there were actually a ton of demo discs that my cousin had because he had the PS2 and he had the PlayStation stuff. I had the Nintendo stuff. He had certain demo discs where we didn't care about the game because the demo was just such a perfect vertical slice that was all we needed.
But I feel like that's a good way to sell a game.
It's just,
they don't do demos that much anymore.
No.
Because they hurt sales. The unfortunate thing is, and this is a skeezy business practice, if you don't like the game, they want you to need to buy it to figure that out. Whereas
that
if you know for free if you like it or not, you'll just not buy it.
We got to start wrapping up this episode. We've gone over a little bit here. But other than Death Stranding, some Blizzard stuff, anything else you'd like to hit on real quick? Okay,
no.
Cool.
Yep, we're good.
All right. In that
this
case,
is Angelo signing out.
Jay, Nancy, peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.